Amina Hamid was a picture of grace and composure, known throughout Meadow Heights for her quiet strength and devotion to her family. She had married Omar Hamid 8 years ago, building what seemed to be the perfect life. Omar, a successful businessman, was respected in their tight-knit community. The couple had 2 young children, Yasmin and Sami, and their home was the epitome of stability. But behind Amina's serene exterior was a woman carrying a dangerous secret, one that threatened to destroy everything she had built. The trouble began when Omar's younger brother, Kamal, moved in with them. Charismatic and impulsive, Kamal was the antithesis of his older brother. What started as innocent conversations between Amina and Kamal, shared jokes at family dinners, moments of connection during quiet afternoons, soon became something far more dangerous. They both knew their bond crossed a line, but the intensity of their connection was undeniable. Ambiguously unsettled, to say the least. For months, they carried on an affair in secret, careful to cover their tracks. Amina knew the consequences if they were discovered. In their conservative culture, the fallout would be catastrophic. One fateful evening, the delicate balance shattered. Omar was away on a business trip and Kamal arrived at the house unannounced. His eyes were wild, his demeanor erratic. He had been drinking, a habit he had picked up recently, and he was demanding answers. He wanted Amina to leave Omar, to run away with him and start a new life. Amina, terrified by his intensity, tried to calm him, but Kamal's frustration boiled over. The argument escalated quickly, voices rising until they were nearly shouting. In a moment of panic, Amina pushed Kamal away. He stumbled, his head striking the edge of the marble kitchen counter with a sickening thud. He collapsed to the floor, motionless. Amina froze, her mind racing. Kneeling beside him, she checked for a pulse, but Kamal was already gone. The weight of what had just happened threatened to crush her. But she knew she had to act quickly. Over the next several hours, Amina meticulously erased every trace of what had occurred. She wrapped Kamal's body in a tarp and concealed it in an old trunk from the attic. With the children asleep and the neighborhood quiet, she loaded the trunk into her car and drove to a secluded area by the river. Under the cover of darkness, she buried Kamal's body in a shallow grave, marking the spot with a pile of rocks to ensure she could find it later if needed. By the time dawn broke, she had transformed the scene into one of eerie normalcy, but no amount of cleaning could erase the guilt gnawing at her. When Omar returned the next day, Amina feigned concern about Kamal's sudden disappearance. Omar initially assumed his brother had taken off on one of his impromptu trips, as he often did when he needed space. But as days turned into weeks, Omar grew increasingly worried. He reported Kamal missing to the police, who launched an investigation. The Hamids, neighbors, friends, and family all rallied around them, offering support. Detective Sarah Patel, assigned to the case, was a sharp, observant investigator with a knack for reading people. She quickly noted Amina's composed demeanor, which seemed almost too perfect given the circumstances. Sarah's instincts told her something was off, but there was no concrete evidence to suggest foul play. As the investigation progressed, cracks began to form in Amina's carefully constructed facade. Omar's sister, Layla, who had never been particularly fond of Amina, became suspicious of her behavior. Layla's intuition led her to sift through Kamal's belongings, where she found a series of text messages that hinted at a relationship between him and Amina. Armed with this discovery, Layla confronted Omar, who was initially in disbelief. But as he began to piece together subtle inconsistencies in Amina's actions, doubt took root. Meanwhile, Detective Patel's investigation uncovered CCTV footage of Amina's car near the river on the night of Kamal's disappearance. The footage wasn't definitive, but it raised enough questions for Sarah to obtain a search warrant for the Hamid household. The search yielded a few small traces of blood in the kitchen, which forensic analysis confirmed to be Kamal's. Amina's web of lies was beginning to unravel. Confronted with the evidence, Amina confessed to Omar in a tearful breakdown. She framed Kamal's death as an accident, pleading for his understanding. But Omar, devastated by the betrayal, called the police. Amina was arrested and charged with manslaughter and evidence tampering. Her trial became a media sensation, with every detail of her affair and Kamal's death dissected in excruciating detail. The aftermath was a storm that engulfed everyone involved. Omar, once a pillar of the community, became a shadow of his former self, retreating into isolation. Yasmin and Sami struggled to comprehend the loss of their uncle and the imprisonment of their mother. Layla, vindicated but heartbroken, became their primary caretaker, dedicating herself to giving them a sense of normalcy. But the story did not end there. In prison, Amina's reputation as a quiet and obedient wife was shattered further as journalists sought to unearth more about her life before her marriage. Rumors of past relationships and indiscretions became tabloid fodder, turning her into a figure of fascination and revulsion. Interviews with former neighbors painted conflicting pictures. Some remembered her as a kind, studious girl, while others hinted at a rebellious streak they had long suspected. The community's reactions were equally polarized. Some blamed Omar for being inattentive and allowing his brother to intrude on their lives, while others pointed to Amina as a manipulator who had orchestrated her downfall. Detective Patel, though, officially closing the case, remained haunted by it. She would often revisit the details, wondering if she had missed signs that could have prevented the tragedy. Her growing reputation as a sharp investigator led to promotions, but the Hamid case lingered as a reminder of the fragility of human lives under pressure. Years later, Yasmin, now a teenager, found herself drawn to the events that had shaped her early life. She began to ask questions that no one wanted to answer. Sneaking into the attic one evening, she found an old box containing court documents, photographs, and a few of Kamal's belongings. Among them was a handwritten note addressed to her mother. Though the note's contents were cryptic, it spoke of love, regret, and fear. A snapshot of Kamal's emotional turmoil before his death. Yasmin, torn between anger and curiosity, began piecing together the story on her own, determined to understand the choices that had torn her family apart. As Yasmin dug deeper, she reached out to Layla, who reluctantly agreed to share her perspective. Layla, still grappling with the pain of losing her brother and the betrayal within the family, revealed details that had never been disclosed in court. She spoke of Kamal's struggles with addiction, his feelings of inadequacy compared to Omar, and the way Amina had seemed to fill a void in his life. Yasmin's quest for understanding brought her closer to her aunt, but it also opened old wounds, forcing them both to confront truths they had tried to bury. Meanwhile, in her prison cell, Amina kept a low profile, focusing on survival and the slim hope of reconnecting with her children someday. Her letters to Yasmin and Sami, carefully censored by prison authorities, were filled with apologies and expressions of love, but they offered little in the way of explanation. Amina's refusal to fully confront her actions left a void that no one else could fill. In the years that followed, the Hamid family slowly rebuilt their lives, but the shadows of the past lingered. Meadow Heights moved on, but the story of the Hamids remained a cautionary tale, a reminder of how secrets, once unearthed, could destroy everything in their path. Man, this case is just wild. It's one of those stories that leaves you speechless, right? The layers of betrayal, the hidden secrets, and the devastating consequences. It's almost too much to wrap your head around. It really makes you wonder how far people will go to protect the lies they're living. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one. The names, the details, and the sentences of this case are not real. These made-up scenarios allow us to explore suspenseful situations without exploiting real-life tragedies. Our goal is to create thought-provoking mysteries while respecting the privacy and dignity of real people. Thank you for watching, and let us know your thoughts below.